Welcome to CSGuitars, the science of loud. The very first device I used to tune guitars was this. It's a pitch pipe, basically the world's worst harmonica. It has 6 different mouthpieces. If you blow into one of them, you get the pitch of one guitar string and you tune to that note by ear. These were made obsolete the moment that smartphone apps became available. Most of us will at some point upgrade to a proper electronic tuner, either something that sits on the pedal board and senses the signal straight from the pickups, an absolute necessity for playing live and shame on anyone who says otherwise, or small clip-on headstock tuners which utilise piezoelectric technology to sense the vibrations directly from the instrument, devices which I find invaluable for speed and convenience here in the studio. Now, while I've been commissioned by Guitar World and Cherub to promote this particular clip-on tuner, the Cherub Flow Tune Clip, know that everything I'm about to say is applicable regardless of your tuning technology, provided your tuner has a similar feature set to this, which might just be the sticking point that has you shopping around for a better tuner. Before I get into better ways to tune your guitar, I'm obligated to let you know the details of this particular tuner. This is the Cherub Flow Tune Clip. A clip-on headstock tuner with a strong sprung metal clip, rubber grips to protect your headstock and keep the tuner in place, and a positionable arm with ball joint giving an optimal viewing angle regardless of if you have the display in front, or as I prefer it, behind the headstock. The large, bright, tricolour display communicates its information in an easily readable fashion with 2 needle style and 2 strobe style displays. Chromatic, standard guitar, compensated guitar, bass and ukulele tuning modes are present, as well as the ability to decide your tuning frequency should you, for some reason, want to be different from every other musician and deviate from the A440 standard that we've been normalising since 1834. And the best feature of all is that this tuner is rechargeable through USB-C, so you no longer need to be constantly replacing CR2032 batteries. For this video, I'm going to be using the strobe tuning mode as I find this to be faster and more accurate than needle style tuning, and I'm going to be focusing on the compensated guitar mode, which tunes every string a few cents flat in order to make the whole instrument play more in tune. Lots of players over the years have tuned slightly off from perfect pitch in an attempt to sound more in tune, which on the face of it sounds a little counterintuitive, so why do we do this? Well, stringed instruments are weird. Whether it's a guitar, a lute or a harpsichord, different string masses, tensions and lengths will cause the strings to behave differently in motion to each other, which makes getting all of the strings on a multi-gauge, multi-course and multi-tonal instrument playing in tune with each other a bit of a mammoth task. Anyone who deals with pianos will know that it's a mathematical impossibility to get all the strings on a piano to play in tune with each other. When sounding multiple strings, they don't always play together quite as well as we'd expect, even if each individual string is bang on perfect pitch, especially when we factor in different string gauges, wound and unwound strings, fret placements, the increased tension from fingering a note, and the energy imparted by strumming or plucking a string, which all throw out tuning a little further. So compensating for the individual weirdnesses of each different string and the manner in which they are energised can make them play more in tune with each other. I've known for a long time to tune the B string slightly flat, as this makes open chords sound more correct. This is something Eddie Van Halen did, amongst others. But it turns out there are other compensated or sweetened tunings that are specifically designed to compensate for different string gauges, different instruments and different playing styles. The compensated tuning method I want to draw attention to, which Cherub have included as a mode setting on their clip-on tuner, is the brainchild of James Taylor, and it was specifically designed to make an acoustic guitar play more in tune across all the strings for a standard suite of playing techniques. The method is as follows, and we'll look at this in detail to explain why it works. The logic works for both acoustic and electric guitars, just be sure your instrument is set up correctly. Playing in tune is as much about a properly cut nut, well-maintained frets, string action, intonation and a fresh set of strings as it is about matching the pitch on your tuner. As we can see, all of the strings are slightly flat to compensate for the added sharpness when using a capo or when playing bar chords, which make up a lot of rhythm playing. In fact, fretting of any kind is applying additional tension to the string, which by nature will pull the string sharp by as much as a couple of cents depending on the guitar's setup. The B string is tuned slightly flatter than the G and E string on either side of it, as all guitars have this tendency where the B string sounds too sharp when played as part of a D or G open chord. Tuning it slightly flatter just gets the B string to behave more appropriately when played alongside the other strings. The lowest strings, E and A, are a whole 10% flat with this compensated tuning, which is important because as you pick and strum away, these are going to pull sharp by a lot. If you are a heavy metal Hetfield style downpicker, you've probably already noticed that if these strings were at perfect pitch, they would always sound too sharp as you thrash away. Tuning them flat by this amount means that when you dig in hard, they're going to sharpen up to the correct pitch. It's for the same reason that when tuning, you want to be striking the strings with the same intensity that you would while playing. Tuning with really soft picking is only going to result in the strings ringing out sharper than desired when you go back to heavy strumming. So tune hard with the attack of the note, not softly with the decay of the note, and you'll save time in tuning and sound better as a result. We started off talking about how this was perhaps counterintuitive, but once looking at the reasoning behind it all, compensated tunings make a lot of sense. Low strings are going to pull sharper when you hit them hard, so it just makes sense that you tune them slightly flat. Fretting any notes at all is going to add inherent sharpness, so you want to compensate for that. And that B string is a fussy little chap that doesn't like to play nice with the other strings. So it's entirely reasonable to compensate the tuning slightly so that when we are playing and all the strings are in motion, it becomes in tune. It really doesn't matter if the guitar sitting there on its own not being played is in tune or not. What matters is that when we are playing, it is in tune, and compensated tunings account for that. With a Cherub TuneFlow clip, we can use the compensated guitar mode to apply all this compensation for us. Just tune to pitch as normal and don't have to worry about counting cents. But if we're using some weird and wonderful tuning, or tuning a completely different instrument, we can use the chromatic mode and just remember to subtract as many cents as required to get the compensation we desire. And for you bass players out there, I know clip-on tuners tend to be a little bit problematic as they don't often track the low frequencies all that well. But I was pleasantly surprised by the Cherub Clip's bass mode, as it seemed to identify those bass frequencies quickly and track them well as I tuned up. Cherub even claimed this will track all the way down to 6-string bass. None of the other clip-on tuners I've tried over the years have handled low frequencies quite this well, so if you do play down low, this might be the one to look out for. There are a few other tips and tricks I could give about tuning, as well as exposing some of the misleading claims some tuners make about their accuracy, but those are all stories for another time. Cherub's Flow Tune clip has the cents displayed on screen, making it definitively accurate to 1 cent. Having a couple of strobe style modes makes it faster to use for those of us who've adopted strobe style tuning as our saviour, and the compensated tuning modes takes much of the frustration out of getting chords to play in tune. You can find links to the Cherub tuner in the description below, and even if you're not in the market for a new tuner right now, why not give compensated tunings a go? It might just improve how you sound. Don't forget to click all of the buttons you're supposed to make this video viable to the ever-changing whims of the YouTube algorithm. That's all for now. Keep it loud and stay safe.